Hello and welcome to McIver's Grant Public Library's Chapter Book Story Time. Today we are reading Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief. This book is written by Rick Riordan. He wrote the words, so he's the author. And we're using this beautifully illustrated version by John Rocco. This book was published by Disney Hyperion. And we have just started Chapter 16 called We Take a Zebra to Vegas. Percy and Annabeth and Grover are in the back of an 18-wheeler with some animals that are in cages that look like they're not being treated very well. Grover has fallen asleep, and Percy has just asked Annabeth about the class ring she wears around her neck and her relationship with her father. And the college ring is your father's? That's none of your... She stopped herself. Yeah, it is. You don't have to tell me. No, that's okay. She took a shaky breath. My dad sent it to me folded up in a letter 2 summers ago. The ring was like his main keepsake from Athena. He wouldn't have gotten through his doctoral program at Harvard without her. That's a long story. Anyway, he said he wanted me to have it. He apologized for being a jerk. He said he loved me and missed me. He wanted me to come home and live with him. That doesn't sound so bad. Yeah, well, the problem was I believed him. I tried to go home for that school year, but my stepmom was the same as ever. She didn't want her kids put in danger by living with a freak. Monsters attacked? We argued. Monsters attacked? We argued. I didn't even make it through winter break. I called Sharon and came right back to Camp Half-Blood. You think you'll ever try living with your dad again? She wouldn't meet my eyes. Please, I'm not into self-inflicted pain. You shouldn't give up, I told her. You should write him a letter or something. Thanks for the advice, she said coldly. But my father's made his choice about who he wants to live with. We passed another few miles in silence. So if the gods fight, I said, will things line up the way they did with the Trojan War? Will it be Athena versus Poseidon? She put her head against the backpack Ares had given us and closed her eyes. I don't know what my mom will do. I just know I'll fight next to you. Why? Because you're my friend, seaweed brain. Any other more stupid questions? I couldn't think of an answer for that. Fortunately, I didn't have to. Annabeth was asleep. I had trouble following her example with Grover snoring and an albino lion staring hungrily at me, but I eventually closed my eyes. My nightmare started out as something I dreamed a million times before. I was being forced to take a standardized test while wearing a straitjacket. All the other kids were going out to recess, and the teacher kept saying, "Come on, Percy, you're not stupid, are you? Pick up your pencil." Then the dream strayed from the usual. I looked over at the next desk and saw a girl sitting there, also wearing a straitjacket. She was my age, with unruly black punk-style hair, dark eyeliner around her stormy green eyes, and freckles across her nose. Somehow I knew who she was. She was Thalia, Zeus's daughter. She struggled against the straitjacket, glared at me in frustration, and snapped, "Well, seaweed brain? One of us has got to get out of here." She's right, my dream self thought. I'm going back to that cavern. I'm going to give Hades a piece of my mind. The straitjacket melted off me. I fell through the classroom floor. The teacher's voice changed until it was cold and evil, echoing from the depths of a great chasm. Percy Jackson, it said. Yes, the exchange went well, I see. I was back in the dark cavern, spirits of the dead drifting around me. Unseen in the pit, the monstrous thing was speaking, but this time it wasn't addressing me. The numbing power of its voice seemed directed someplace else. And he suspects nothing? It asked. Another voice, one I almost recognized, answered at my shoulder. Nothing, my lord. He is as ignorant as the rest. I looked over, but no one was there. The speaker was invisible. Deception upon deception, the thing in the pit mused aloud. Excellent. Truly, my lord, said the voice next to me, you are well named the Crooked One, but was it really necessary? I could have brought you what I stole directly. You, the monster said in scorn, you have already shown your limits. You would have failed me completely had I not intervened. But, my lord, peace, little servant, our 6 months have brought us much. Zeus's anger has grown. Poseidon has played his most desperate card. Now we shall use it against him. Shortly you shall have the reward you wish, and your revenge. As soon as both items are delivered into my hands, but wait. He is here. What? The invisible servant suddenly sounded tense. You summoned him, my lord? No. The full force of the monster's attention was now pouring over me, freezing me into place. Blast his father's blood. He's too changeable, too unpredictable. The boy brought himself hither. Impossible, the servant cried. For a weakling such as you, perhaps, the voice snarled. Then its cold power turned back to me. So, you wish to dream of your quest, young half-blood? Then I will oblige. The scene changed. I was standing in a vast throne room with black marble walls and bronze floors. The empty, horrid throne was made from human bones fused together. Standing at the foot of the dais was my mother, frozen in shimmering golden light, her arms outstretched. And there's a picture of Percy's dream and his mother. I tried to step toward her, but my legs wouldn't move. I reached for her, only to realize that my hands were withering to bones. Grinning skeletons in Greek armor crowded around me, draping me with silk robes and wreathing my head with laurels that smoked with chimera poison, burning into my scalp. The evil voice began to laugh. Hail the conquering hero. I awoke with a start. Grover was shaking my shoulder. The truck stopped, he said. We think they're coming to check on the animals. Hide, Annabeth hissed. She had it easy. She just put on her magic cap and disappeared. Grover and I had to dive behind feed stacks and hope we looked like turnips. The trailer doors creaked open. Sunlight and heat poured in. Man, one of the truckers said, waving his hand in front of his ugly nose. I wish I hauled appliances. He climbed inside and poured some water from a jug into the animal's dishes. You hot, big boy? He asked the lion, and then splashed the rest of the bucket right in the lion's face. The lion roared in indignation. Yeah, the man said. Next to me under the turnip sacks, Grover tensed. For a peace-loving herbivore, he was downright murderous. The trucker threw the antelope a squashed-looking Happy Meal bag. He smirked at the zebra. How you doing, Stripes? Least we'll be getting rid of you this stop. You like magic shows? You're going to love this one. They're going to saw you in half. The zebra, wild-eyed with fear, looked straight at me. There was no sound, but clear as day I heard it say, Free me, Lord, please. I was too stunned to react. There was a loud knock, knock, knock on the side of the trailer. The trucker inside with us yelled, What do you want, Eddie? The voice outside, it must have been Eddie, shouted back, Maurice? What'd you say? What are you banging for? Knock, knock, knock. Outside Eddie yelled, What banging? Our guy Maurice rolled his eyes and went back outside, cursing at Eddie for being an idiot. A second later, Annabeth appeared next to me. She must have done the banging to get Maurice out of the trailer. She said, This transport business can't be legal. No kidding, Grover said. He paused as if listening. The lion says these guys are animal smugglers. That's right, the zebra's voice said in my mind. We've got to free them, Grover said. He and Annabeth both looked at me, waiting for my lead. I'd heard the zebra talk, but not the lion. Why? Maybe it was another learning disability. I could only understand zebras? And then I thought, horses. What had Annabeth said about Poseidon creating horses? Was a zebra close enough to a horse? Was that why I could understand it? The zebra said, Open my cage, Lord, please. I'll be fine after that. Outside, Eddie and Maurice were still yelling at each other, but I knew they'd be coming inside to torment the animals again any minute. I grabbed Riptide and slashed the lock off the zebra's cage. The zebra burst out. It turned to me and bowed. Thank you, Lord. Grover held up his hands and said something to the zebra in goat talk, like a blessing. Just as Maurice was poking his head back inside to check out the noise, the zebra leapt over him and into the street. There was yelling and screaming and cars honking. We rushed to the doors of the trailer in time to see the zebra galloping down a wide boulevard lined with hotels and casinos and neon signs. We just released a zebra in Las Vegas. Maurice and Eddie ran after it, with a few policemen running after them, shouting, Hey, you need a permit for that. There's said zebra. Now would be a good time to leave, Annabeth said. The other animals first, Grover said. I cut the locks away with my sword. Grover raised his hands and spoke the same goat blessing he'd used for the zebra. Good luck, I told the animals. The antelope and the lion burst out of their cages and went off together in the streets. Some tourists screamed. Most just backed off and took pictures, probably thinking it was some kind of stunt by one of the casinos. Will the animals be okay, I asked Grover. I mean, the desert and all? Don't worry, he said. I placed a satyr's sanctuary on them. Meaning? Meaning they'll reach the wild safely, he said. They'll find food, water, shade, whatever they need until they find a safe place to live. Why can't you place a blessing like that on us, I asked. It only works on wild animals. So it would only affect Percy then, Annabeth said. Hey, I protested. Kidding, she said. Come on, let's get out of this filthy truck. We stumbled out into the desert afternoon. It was 110 degrees easy. We must have looked like deep-fried vagrants, but everybody was too interested in the wild animals to pay much attention. We passed the Monte Carlo and the MGM. We passed pyramids, a pirate ship, and the Statue of Liberty, which was pretty small replica, but still made me homesick. I wasn't sure what we were looking for. Maybe just a place to get out of the heat for a few minutes, find a sandwich and a glass of lemonade to make a new plan for getting west. We must have taken a wrong turn because we found ourselves at a dead end, standing in front of the Lotus Hotel and Casino. The entrance was a huge neon flower, the petals lighting up and blinking. No one was going in or out, but the glittering chrome doors were open, spilling out air conditioning that smelled like flowers. Lotus blossom, maybe. I'd never smelled one, so I wasn't sure. The doorman smiled at us. "Hey, kids, you look tired. You want to come in and sit down?" I'd learned to be suspicious the last week or so I figured anybody might be a monster or a god. One look at him and I could see. This guy was normal. Besides, I was so relieved to hear somebody who sounded sympathetic that I nodded and said we'd love to come in. Inside, we took one look around, and Grover said, "Whoa." We'll find out what happens inside the Lotus Casino next time we meet. Thank you so much for joining us for Chapter Book Storytime, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.